The carrier deck pitched 15 degrees when Ensign Robert Chen's fighter stopped with one tire flat. Smoke poured from the engine. The fuel tank read empty. 6 fighters circled waiting to land. Each had fuel for one approach. If Chen could not move in 60 seconds, the others would ditch in the ocean. The water was 50 degrees. Chen's hands shook as he tried to restart. How many men would he send into the freezing water today? Chen flipped switches with trembling fingers. The starter motor whined. The propeller turned slowly. Once, twice. The engine coughed but did not catch. Smoke thickened around the cowling. The deck crew were 30 yards away now, running hard, carrying foam bottles. Chen had maybe 20 seconds before they reached him. 20 seconds to get moving or abandon his plane. He hit the starter again. The propeller spun. The engine caught. Rough and stuttering but running. Chen did not wait. He pushed the throttle forward. The fighter lurched ahead. Slow at first, then faster. The deck crew dove aside. Chen taxied toward the forward elevator. His radio crackled. Clear the deck. Clear the deck now. The first waiting fighter was on final approach. Out of fuel. Out of time. Chen reached the elevator and killed his engine. Deck crew swarmed his plane. They pushed it onto the elevator platform. Chen climbed out. His legs barely held him. He looked up. The first fighter was touching down. Wheels hit steel. The plane rolled to a stop. The pilot would live. Chen had bought him that. 60 seconds, that was all it took. 60 seconds between life and death. The flight deck officer grabbed Chen's shoulder. "You okay?" Chen nodded. He was not okay. His hands still shook. His heart hammered. But he was functional. That counted as okay. The officer pointed toward the island. "Get checked out." Chen walked across the deck. Around him, the organized chaos of carrier operations continued. Fighters landing. Deck crew moving planes. Fuel lines dragging. Ordnance carts rolling. The machine never stopped. Men lived or died, but the machine kept running. Chen understood that now. He climbed down a ladder into the island. The narrow corridors were crowded. He pushed through to sick bay. A medic looked him over quickly. Smoke inhalation, minor burns on his hands. Nothing serious. The medic bandaged his hands and cleared him for duty. Chen left and headed for the ready room. He needed to debrief. Then he needed to understand what had gone wrong. Why his tire had blown. Why his fuel had run out. Why he had nearly killed 6 pilots. The ready room was full of pilots. Some were sleeping in chairs. Others studied maps. A few played cards. Chen's squadron commander saw him and waved him over. The commander was a lieutenant commander named Harris. He was 35 and had grey in his hair. He looked tired. Everyone looked tired. The war had been going for 3 years. Tired was normal. Harris pointed to a chair. Chen sat. Harris asked what happened. Chen told him. The combat air patrol. The enemy bomber formation. The engagement. 4 bombers shot down. Then the long flight back. Low on fuel. Systems failing. The blown tire on landing. The smoke. The emergency. Harris listened without interrupting. When Chen finished, Harris nodded slowly. "You did good," Harris said. "You got your plane clear. You saved those pilots." Chen did not feel like he had done good. He felt like he had failed. That was his responsibility. Harris seemed to read his mind. "Aircraft break," Harris said, "especially after combat. You brought it home. That is what matters." Chen wanted to believe that. He was not sure he could. Harris assigned Chen to rest. 6 hours in his bunk. Then back to the ready room. Chen left and found his berthing area. The bunks were stacked 3 high in a cramped compartment. 40 pilots shared the space. Chen climbed into his middle bunk and closed his eyes. Sleep did not come easily. He kept seeing the fighters circling overhead, kept hearing the bingo fuel calls, kept feeling the deck pitch under his broken plane. He had been lucky, so lucky. If the engine had not restarted, he would have been responsible for 6 deaths, 6 pilots in the freezing water, 6 families getting telegrams. The weight of that possibility pressed on his chest. He pushed it away. The engine had restarted. The pilots had landed. Everyone lived. That was what mattered. Chen repeated it until he believed it. Then he slept. He woke 4 hours later, not from any alarm, just from habit. His body knew the rhythm now. Sleep when you can, wake when you must. Chen climbed out of his bunk and headed for the head. He washed his face. The water was cold, always cold. Fresh water was rationed. Hot water was a luxury reserved for the injured. Chen did not mind. The cold helped him wake up. He looked at himself in the mirror. He was 23 but looked older. The war did that. It aged you fast. Chen barely recognized the face staring back. It was harder than the face he remembered from before. Sharper, colder. That was what combat did. It changed you in ways you could not articulate. You just looked different, felt different, were different. Chen splashed more water on his face and left. The ready room was quieter now. Only a dozen pilots present. Chen checked the schedule board. He was on standby, ready to launch if needed, but not in the rotation. That gave him time. He found a chair and sat. A stack of old magazines sat on a side table. Chen picked one up and tried to read. The words would not stick. His mind kept drifting back to the mission. The combat. The damaged plane. The emergency landing. He replayed it all, looking for mistakes. Looking for lessons. Combat taught you or it killed you. Chen wanted to learn. Wanted to survive. He went through the engagement step by step. The approach. The attack. The kills. He had done everything right. His plane had just broken. That happened. Harris was right. Aircraft broke. Especially in combat. Chen could not control that. He could only control his response, and his response had been good. He had gotten the plane back, had saved the other pilots. That was success. That was survival. Chen closed the magazine and leaned back. He felt better. A little. Everything helped a little. Nothing helped enough. The next mission came 2 days later. Chen was assigned to escort duty. A strike package was hitting an enemy airfield. Dive bombers and torpedo bombers. Chen and 5 other fighters would protect them. The brief was short. Launch at dawn, fly to the target, protect the bombers, destroy enemy fighters. Simple, clear. Chen gathered his gear and headed to the flight deck. The pre-dawn darkness was absolute. Only the red deck lights showed the way. Chen found his fighter parked near the bow. A deck crew chief met him. The plane was ready, fueled, armed. Checked. Chen did his walk-around inspection. Everything looked good. He climbed into the cockpit. The seat was still warm from the engine run-up. Chen strapped in. The harness was tight, secure. He ran through his checklist. Instruments, controls, systems, all green, all ready. The carrier turned into the wind. The deck rolled beneath him. Chen was used to it now. The constant motion, the pitch and yaw. It was home. Strange home. Dangerous home. But home. The launch order came. Chen's fighter was third in the lineup. He watched the first fighter roll forward. The catapult officer gave signals. The pilot acknowledged. The catapult fired. The fighter shot forward, 0 to flying speed in 2 seconds. The plane cleared the deck and climbed away. The second fighter followed. Same process. Same result. Then it was Chen's turn. He rolled forward onto the catapult. Deck crew attached the holdback and the shuttle. Chen ran his engine to full power. The plane shook, strained against the holdback. The catapult officer checked his signals. Then he dropped his flag. The catapult fired. Chen was slammed back into his seat. The ocean rushed toward him. Then the fighter was flying. Climbing free, Chen joined up with the others. They circled while the rest of the strike package launched. 12 dive bombers, 8 torpedo bombers, 6 fighters. A small force, but enough for the target. The formation headed west toward the enemy island. The flight took 30 minutes. Chen scanned the sky constantly, looking for enemy fighters. His head was on a swivel, left, right, up, down, behind, constant scanning. That was how you survived. See the enemy before he saw you. The formation approached the target island. Smoke rose from the airfield. Someone had hit it recently. Good. That meant fewer enemy fighters would launch. The dive bombers peeled off. One by one they rolled into their dives. Chen watched them go. Steep angles, high speed, pulling out low. Bombs fell and exploded. Buildings erupted. Runway cratered. Aircraft parked on the field burst into flames. The torpedo bombers attacked next. They went for the hangars. Chen and the other fighters stayed high, watching, waiting, protecting. Then the enemy fighters appeared, 4 of them, climbing from behind the island, fast and aggressive. They had been hiding, waiting for the strike to commit. Smart tactics. Chen called them out. All fighters turned to engage. The formation split. 3 American fighters went after 2 enemies. Chen and 2 others went after the other 2. The enemies split as well. Now it was 1-on-1. Chen followed his target. The enemy dove. Chen dove after him. The enemy leveled out low, just above the water. Chen followed. The enemy janked to left. Chen anticipated and cut inside. He closed the distance. The enemy janked to right. Chen stayed with him. They were 50 feet above the ocean. Spray kicked up from their prop wash. One mistake would be fatal. Chen did not make mistakes. He closed to firing range and pressed the trigger. His guns roared. Bullets walked across the water toward the enemy. They hit. Pieces flew off the enemy's tail. The enemy pulled up. Chen pulled up with him. They climbed vertical. Chen fired again. More hits. The enemy's engine smoked. The enemy rolled and dove. Chen followed. The enemy was trying to reach the island, trying to land. Chen would not let him. He fired a long burst. The enemy caught fire. The pilot bailed out. His parachute opened. The fighter crashed into the jungle. Chen pulled up and looked for threats. The sky was clear. The other engagements were over. 1 more enemy destroyed. 2 escaped. The American formation was intact. Good trade. The bombers finished their runs and formed up. The fighters joined them. The formation headed home. Chen checked his fuel. Half tanks. Plenty to get back. The flight was quiet. No more enemies appeared. The carrier appeared on the horizon 40 minutes later. Small at first, then larger. The formation circled overhead. The carrier turned into the wind. Landing operations began. Chen was 5th in line. He watched the others land. All good approaches. All good traps. Then his turn came. Chen broke from the formation and entered the landing pattern. He configured the plane. Gear down. Flaps down. Hook down. Mixture rich. He flew the downwind leg, then turned base, then final. The carrier deck rose and fell ahead of him. Chen adjusted his approach. High, low, left, right, constant corrections. The landing signal officer guided him. Chen watched the paddles, followed the signals. The deck rose to meet him. His wheels hit. His hook caught the wire. The plane jerked to a stop. Chen was down. Safe, another mission complete. Another day survived. He taxied clear and shut down. Deck crew chocked his wheels. Chen climbed out. His legs were stiff. His back ached. He was 23 and felt 60. That was combat. It wore you down, ground you up. Chen walked to the island and headed for debriefing. The intelligence officer asked questions. Chen answered. Enemy fighters, kills, damage, duration. The details mattered. Someone analyzed it all. Looked for patterns, lessons. Chen did not know what they found. He just reported what he saw, what he did. That was his job. Fly, fight, report, repeat. Day after day, week after week, until the war ended or he died. Those were the only two ways this stopped. Chen flew 30 more missions over the next 2 months. Escorts, combat air patrols, strikes, every type. Some missions were easy, others were hard. The third mission after the first kill was particularly difficult. Chen launched at dawn with 3 other fighters. Their job was to provide combat air patrol over the task force. 4 hours of circling, watching, waiting. The ocean stretched endlessly below, grey, empty, monotonous. Chen scanned constantly, left, right, up, down, behind, constant vigilance. That was the price of survival. 2 hours into the patrol, enemy bombers appeared. 8 of them, flying low, fast, heading straight for the carrier. Chen and his flight dove to intercept. They closed rapidly. The bombers saw them coming. Too late. Chen targeted the leader, fired a long burst, hits on the wing. The bomber caught fire, fell away trailing smoke. Chen pulled up and selected another target, fired again. More hits. This bomber's tail came apart. It spun into the ocean. 2 down, 6 remaining. The other American fighters engaged. More bombers fell, but some got through. Chen watched them drop their torpedoes, long white wakes in the water, heading for the carrier. The carrier turned hard, evading. The torpedoes missed. Barely. Chen felt relief, then anger. The bombers were escaping. Chen caught one, shot it down. That made 3 for him. 3 bombers destroyed, 3 crews dead. The weight grew heavier. The squadron flew another strike 2 days later. Target was an enemy supply depot, 20 fighters total. Chen was element lead. His wingman was a new pilot named Jenkins. First combat mission. Jenkins was nervous. Chen could hear it in his voice on the radio. Chen remembered his own first mission. The fear, the uncertainty. He tried to reassure Jenkins. "Stay on my wing. Follow me. You will be fine," Jenkins acknowledged. His voice shook. Chen hoped he was right. Hoped Jenkins would make it through. The strike force hit the target hard. Bombs fell. Buildings exploded. Fires erupted. No enemy fighters appeared. It was a milk run. Easy mission. Chen felt relief. Jenkins had survived his first. Good start. On the way back, Chen checked his fuel. 3/4 full. Plenty to get home. He relaxed slightly. The formation headed east toward the carrier. The ocean passed below. Endless. Grey. Empty. Chen thought about nothing. Just flew. Just existed. That was becoming normal. The emptiness. The void. He wondered if it would ever end. If he would ever feel normal again. He doubted it. This was his new normal. Empty. Functional, broken. He accepted it. What choice did he have? The 4th week brought another loss. Not from Chen's squadron. From the dive bombers. A plane did not return from a strike. No radio call. No distress signal. Just gone. Disappeared. The squadron held a service. Chen attended. Stood in the back. Listened to the words. Added another name to his private list. Another wait. Another ghost. The list was getting long. Chen wondered how long it would get before the war ended. How many more names he would carry. He stopped wondering. The question was pointless. The answer did not matter. He would carry however many were required. That was the job. Carry and survive. That was all. That was everything. Chen shot down his 3rd enemy fighter. In his next engagement. Combat air patrol again. Enemy fighters this time. Not bombers. 4 of them. Chen and his flight were outnumbered. 4 against 6. Bad odds. But Chen had experience now. Confidence. Skill. He engaged aggressively. Got on an enemy's tail. Fired. Hits. The enemy smoked. Tried to evade. Chen stayed with him. Fired again. The enemy exploded. Chen felt nothing. Just moved to the next target. This one was better. Experienced. They fought for 5 minutes. Turning. Climbing. Diving. neither could gain advantage. Chen's wingman helped, came in from the side, fired, hits on the enemy's wing. The enemy broke off, tried to escape. Chen pursued, caught him low over the water, fired a long burst. The enemy crashed. Chen's fourth kill, 4 dead men, 4 families destroyed. The weight pressed down. Chen pushed it aside, focused on the present, on survival. That was all he could do, all anyone could do. 2 more missions followed, both uneventful. No enemies, no combat, just flying, just routine. Chen appreciated the break. The squadron needed it. Everyone was tired, worn down, running on fumes. The rest helped, a little, not much, but a little. Everything helped a little. Nothing helped enough. That was becoming Chen's mantra. The truth he lived by, the reality he accepted. Help came in small measures. Relief was temporary. The grind continued, always, forever, until it ended. However it ended. However it ended. Chen shot down his 5th enemy fighter in early June, made him an ace. Official designation. It meant nothing to him. Just a number. Just more dead men on his conscience. The squadron threw him a small party, cake and coffee in the ready room. Handshakes. Congratulations. Chen smiled and thanked them. Inside he felt nothing, just numbness. He wondered if that was normal, if all aces felt this way. He did not ask. That was not the kind of thing pilots discussed. They talked about tactics, about planes, about the war, never about feelings. Feelings were private, buried, hidden. That was how you survived. You pushed it down and kept flying. Harris pulled Chen aside after the party, told him he was being recommended for promotion, for the Distinguished Flying Cross. Chen thanked him, did not feel anything. Promotion meant more responsibility, more weight. The medal was just metal. Neither changed who he was, what he had become. A killer, a survivor, empty, broken, functional. That was all. That was everything. Harris seemed to sense Chen's detachment. He asked if Chen was okay. Chen lied, said he was fine. Harris did not believe him, but he did not push, just nodded, told Chen to take care of himself. Chen said he would. Another lie. He was not taking care of himself. He was just existing, just surviving, just carrying. That was all he could manage, all he could do. The carrier pulled into port for resupply in June. 2 weeks in a rear area. Safe harbor, no missions, just maintenance and rest. Chen had not been on land in 4 months. Stepping onto solid ground felt strange. The earth did not move, did not pitch or roll. It was disorienting. Chen walked around the base. There were trees, buildings, roads, normal things. Things he had not seen in months. Everything looked different. Too still, too stable. Chen realized he had adapted to the carrier, to the constant motion, to the confined spaces, to the controlled chaos. Land felt wrong now. Too big, too empty, too quiet. He preferred the carrier. That was disturbing. But true, Chen had become a creature of the ship, of the war. Normal life felt alien. He met other pilots from different squadrons. They compared experiences, talked about missions, about kills, about losses. Chen learned he was not alone in his numbness. Others felt it too, the disconnect, the emptiness. No one said it directly, but Chen heard it in their words, saw it in their eyes. Combat changed people, made them different. They all knew it. They all carried it. They never discussed it openly, just acknowledged it silently, through glances, through pauses, through the things they did not say. It was their shared secret, their invisible bond. Chen found comfort in that. He was not broken, or if he was, everyone else was broken the same way. That made it bearable, made it normal, made it survivable. One pilot Chen met was particularly forthcoming. Lieutenant Parker. He had 12 kills. been flying combat for 18 months. He looked exhausted, hollowed out. He pulled Chen aside one evening, bought him a drink, told him things others would not say. "The numbness gets worse," Parker said. "Not better. You learn to live with it. But it never leaves." Chen asked if anything helped. Parker shook his head. "Nothing helps. You just endure. Carry it. Survive. That is all there is." Chen felt a strange relief hearing that. Someone had told him the truth. The real truth, not the heroic version, not the sanitized story, just the hard reality. Parker finished his drink and left. Chen never saw him again. Heard later Parker's plane was shot down 2 weeks after they spoke. Killed, gone, another name, another weight. Chen added Parker to his list. Carried him too, like he carried all of them, forever. The carrier returned to combat operations in July. The mission pace increased. More strikes, more escorts, more patrols. The enemy was being pushed back across the Pacific, island by island. The carrier task force hit targets deeper into enemy territory. The missions got longer, more dangerous, more complex. Chen flew almost every day, sometimes twice. The grind was relentless. He lost weight, slept when he could, ate when he remembered, functioned on adrenaline and willpower. Others were the same. The whole squadron ran on fumes, but they kept flying, kept fighting, kept surviving, because stopping was not an option. The war demanded everything. They gave it, because that was what you did, because the enemy would not stop, because surrender meant death. So you kept going, until you could not. Then someone else took your place. That was how war worked. That was how it always worked. A particularly hard mission came in mid-July. Strike on an enemy naval base. Heavily defended, intelligence said 20 fighters, 50 anti-aircraft guns. High risk, high value, the squadron briefed carefully. Planned the approach, the attack, the escape. Everyone knew this would be costly. Some would not come back. That was certain. Chen wondered if he would be one of them. He did not fear death. Death was relief, an end to carrying, an end to the weight. But he feared letting his squadron mates down, feared leaving them. They depended on each other. That dependence was everything. Without it, they would all die. Together they survived. Chen would not abandon that, would not fail them, even if it meant carrying more, even if it meant surviving longer. He owed them that, owed them everything. The strike launched at dawn. 30 planes total, fighters, dive bombers, torpedo bombers, a large force. The mission profile was complex. Fighters would sweep ahead, suppress enemy fighters, then the bombers would attack. Finally, everyone would escape, fast, low, together. The plan was sound. Chen hoped it would work. Hope was not a strategy, but it was all they had. The formation climbed to altitude, headed west toward the target. Chen scanned constantly, looking for enemies. The minutes ticked past. 10, 20, 30. The target appeared. Smoke buildings, ships, anti-aircraft fire erupted. Black puffs filled the sky. The formation flew through it. Planes bucked and shook. Chen gripped the stick tight, kept formation. The enemy fighters appeared. 12 of them, not 20. Good, better odds. Chen and his flight engaged. Hard-turning fight. Multiple enemies. Chen shot one down quickly, moved to another. This one was skilled. They fought for 3 minutes, neither gaining. Then Chen's wingman helped. Fired from below. Hits. The enemy broke. Chen finished him. That was 6 kills now. 6 dead men. Chen felt nothing. Moved to help another American. The fight continued. Brutal. Fast. Desperate. Finally the enemy broke. Scattered. Fled. Chen regrouped with his flight. All present. All functional. Miracle. The bombers attacked. Bombs fell. Torpedoes launched. Explosions rippled across the base. Ships burned, buildings collapsed. Mission success, but costly. 2 bombers were shot down by anti-aircraft fire. Chen saw them fall, watched the crews bail out. Some chutes opened, some did not. More names for the list, more weight to carry. The formation regrouped and headed home. The flight back was tense. Everyone expected more enemy fighters. None came. Just empty sky. Empty ocean. The carrier appeared. Welcome sight. Chen landed without incident. Taxied clear. Shut down. Climbed out. His hands shook. Adrenaline wearing off. Exhaustion setting in. He walked to debriefing. Reported the mission. The kills. The losses. The intelligence officer took notes. Chen left and found his bunk. Collapsed. Slept for 12 hours. Dreamless. Empty. Like everything else. Chen shot down his 7th and 8th kills in August. 2 separate missions. Both routine patrols that turned violent. The 7th was an enemy bomber. Slow, easy target. Chen shot it down in 30 seconds. Quick, clean, efficient. The 8th was another fighter. Harder. 5-minute engagement. Chen won through experience and patience. Waited for the enemy to make a mistake. When he did, Chen exploited it. Ruthlessly, efficiently, coldly. The enemy died. Chen felt nothing. Added the name to his list. Carried the weight. Continued. That was the pattern now. Kill. Carry. Continue. Over and over. Day after day. Week after week. Month after month. The cycle never stopped. Never slowed. Chen endured, because that was all he could do. Endure and survive. That was his existence. His reality. His fate. The kills came easier now. He had learned the patterns, the tactics, how enemy pilots thought, how they moved, how to predict their actions. Combat experience was cumulative. Each fight taught something. Chen absorbed it all, applied it, refined it. He was becoming an expert, a killer, the best fighter pilot in his squadron. Harris told him so, told him he was being recommended for promotion, for medals. Chen did not care about promotion or medals. He cared about surviving, about getting his squadron mates through, about doing the job. That was all. That was enough. More missions followed. September brought 10 more flights. October brought 12. The pace was crushing. Chen flew 60 missions total by the end of October, shot down 10 enemy aircraft, 10 confirmed kills. Double ace, exceptional. The admiral came to shake his hand. Photographers took pictures. Chen smiled for the camera. Performed. Inside he felt nothing. Just emptiness. Just the void. 10 kills. 10 dead men. 10 families destroyed. Chen knew they were the enemy. Knew they would have killed him. But the weight remained. Growing, pressing, crushing. Chen carried it. What else could he do? Put it down. Impossible. It was part of him now. Fused to his soul. Permanent. Eternal. Inescapable. He accepted that. What choice did he have? The squadron lost another pilot in November. Jenkins, the nervous kid from his first escort. He had gained confidence, become competent. Then he got shot down. Simple fight. Jenkins chased too far. Got separated. An enemy jumped him. Jenkins died. Radio call. Smoke. Silence. Gone. Chen added him to the list. Jenkins was different. Chen had tried to mentor him, tried to teach him, keep him alive. Failed. That failure cut deeper. Chen felt responsible, guilty. He should have taught Jenkins better, should have watched closer, should have saved him. Harris told Chen it was not his fault. Jenkins made his own choices, flew his own plane. Chen wanted to believe that. Could not. Jenkins' death was on him. Another weight. Heavier than the others. Chen carried it, like he carried everything. Like he always would. Forever. The war turned decisively in November. The enemy was clearly beaten. their fleet destroyed, their air force shattered, their army retreating. Victory was inevitable now. Just a matter of time. The missions continued but changed character. Less opposition, fewer losses, more routine. The end was visible. Men talked about going home, about peace, about normal life. Chen did not participate, could not imagine peace. War was his reality, his identity. What would he be without it? He did not know, could not picture it. So he did not try. He just flew, just fought, just survived. One mission at a time, one day at a time. That was all he could handle, all anyone could handle. The future was too vast, too uncertain, too frightening. Better to focus on now, on the mission, on survival. That was manageable. That was possible. That was all. The carrier pulled into port for resupply in June. 2 weeks in a rear area, safe harbor, no missions, just maintenance and rest. Chen had not been on land in 4 months. Stepping onto solid ground felt strange. The earth did not move, did not pitch or roll. It was disorienting. Chen walked around the base. There were trees, buildings, roads, normal things, things he had not seen in months. Everything looked different, too still, too stable. Chen realized he had adapted to the carrier, to the constant motion, to the confined spaces, to the controlled chaos. Land felt wrong now. Too big, too empty, too quiet. He preferred the carrier. That was disturbing. But true, Chen had become a creature of the ship, of the war. Normal life felt alien. He met other pilots from different squadrons. They compared experiences, talked about missions, about kills, about losses. Chen learned he was not alone in his numbness. Others felt it too. The disconnect, the emptiness. No one said it directly, but Chen heard it in their words, saw it in their eyes. Combat changed people, made them different. They all knew it. They all carried it. They never discussed it openly, just acknowledged it silently, through glances, through pauses, through the things they did not say. It was their shared secret, their invisible bond. Chen found comfort in that. He was not broken, or if he was, everyone else was broken the same way. That made it bearable, made it normal, made it survivable. The carrier returned to combat operations in July. The mission pace increased. More strikes, more escorts, more patrols. The enemy was being pushed back across the Pacific. Island by island, the carrier task force hit targets deeper into enemy territory. The missions got longer, more dangerous, more complex. Chen flew almost every day, sometimes twice. The grind was relentless. He lost weight, sleep when he could, ate when he remembered, functioned on adrenaline and willpower. Others were the same. The whole squadron ran on fumes, but they kept flying, kept fighting, kept surviving, because stopping was not an option. The war demanded everything. They gave it. Because that was what you did. Because the enemy would not stop. Because surrender meant death. So you kept going, until you could not. Then someone else took your place. That was how war worked. That was how it always worked. Chen shot down his 6th enemy fighter in August. Then his 7th, then his 8th. The kills came easier now. He had learned the patterns, the tactics, how enemy pilots thought, how they moved, how to predict their actions. Combat experience was cumulative. Each fight taught something. Chen absorbed it all, applied it, refined it. He was becoming an expert, a killer, the best fighter pilot in his squadron. Harris told him so, told him he was being recommended for promotion, for medals. Chen did not care about promotion or medals. He cared about surviving, about getting his squadron mates through, about doing the job. That was all. That was enough. The squadron lost its first pilot in September, a young ensign named Miller. He was on Chen's wing during a strike escort. They engaged enemy fighters. Miller was aggressive, too aggressive. He chased an enemy into a cloud and never came out. Chen circled, called on the radio. Nothing. Miller was gone. Maybe crashed. Maybe bailed out. Maybe captured. Chen would never know. Miller just disappeared. The squadron held a service that evening. Brief and simple, words were said. Miller's bunk was stripped. His belongings boxed and sent home. His name was added to the memorial board. Then everyone moved on, because that was what you did. You mourned and moved on. Dwelling on loss got you killed. Chen understood that, but understanding did not make it easier. Miller had been a good pilot, a good kid, 20 years old. Now he was gone, just gone. Chen added him to the list. The private list he kept in his mind. Names of the dead, faces of the lost. The list grew longer. Chen carried it. Everyone carried their list. It was another weight, another burden, another price of survival. The war turned decisively in October. The enemy was collapsing. Their fleet was broken. Their air force decimated. Their army retreating. Victory was close. Everyone felt it. The missions continued, but the intensity dropped. Fewer enemy fighters appeared. Fewer losses occurred. The end was visible, tangible. Men started talking about home, about what they would do after. Chen did not participate. He could not think beyond the next mission, could not imagine peace. War was all he knew now. War was his reality, his identity. What would he be without it? He did not know, could not picture it. So he did not try. He just flew, just fought, just survived. One mission at a time, one day at a time. That was all he could handle, all anyone could handle. His 9th kill came in November. His 10th in December. 10 confirmed victories. Double ace, rare, exceptional. The admiral himself came to the ready room to shake Chen's hand. Photographers took pictures. Chen smiled for the camera. Inside he felt nothing. 10 kills, 10 dead men, 10 families destroyed. Chen knew they were the enemy. He knew they would have killed him, but the weight was still there, growing heavier. Pressing down, Chen carried it. What else could he do? Put it down? Impossible. It was part of him now, welded to his soul. He would carry it forever. He knew that, accepted it. What choice did he have? This was the price. This was what killing cost, even when necessary, even when justified. The weight remained, always, forever. The enemy surrendered in January. The announcement came over the ship's loudspeaker. The war was over. Men cheered, cried, hugged. Chen stood on the flight deck and watched. He felt disconnected, separate. The war was over, but he was not. He was still that pilot, still that killer, still carrying those weights. Peace changed nothing, not for him. Maybe others could transition, could go back to who they were before. Chen could not. He was too different now, too changed. The war had remade him. There was no going back, no return to innocence. He was this now, this hard thing, this cold machine forever. The carrier started the long voyage home, weeks at sea, slowly crossing the Pacific. Chen stood at the rail and watched the water, endless, grey, empty. Like his future, like his soul, he wondered what came next. Discharge, civilian life. But doing what? Being what? He had no skills beyond flying, beyond killing. What use was that in peacetime? Chen did not know, could not imagine. The uncertainty was frightening, more frightening than combat. At least in combat you knew the rules. Kill or be killed. Simple, clear. Peace had no rules, no structure, no purpose. Chen would have to find purpose, build a life, become someone. The task seemed impossible, overwhelming. He pushed the thoughts away, one day at a time. That was all he could handle. That was all anyone could handle. The carrier reached port in February. American soil, home. The crew lined the rails. Families waited on the dock. Wives, parents, children, waving, crying, celebrating. Chen had no one waiting. His parents were dead. killed in a car accident before the war. He had no siblings, no wife, no children. He was alone, untethered, free. The freedom felt like abandonment, like loss. Chen watched the reunions from a distance. Happy families, joyful embraces. He felt nothing, just emptiness, just numbness. He disembarked and walked through the crowd. No one stopped him. No one called his name. He was invisible, anonymous, just another pilot, just another veteran, unremarkable, forgettable. That was fine. Chen preferred it that way. Attention was burden, expectation was weight. He had enough weight. He needed no more. He processed through discharge in a week. Medical check, paperwork, final pay. Then he was civilian, free, done. Chen left the base with a single duffel bag. Everything he owned fit inside. Clothes, a few books, his logbook, his medals, nothing else. He had accumulated nothing during the war. No possessions, no connections, just memories, just scars. Those were weightless but heavy. Chen carried them. He always would. He caught a bus to San Francisco. The city was crowded, loud, busy. Chen found a cheap hotel and rented a room. He needed time, time to think, time to figure out what came next. The room was small, a bed, a chair, a window overlooking an alley. Perfect. Chen dropped his duffel and sat on the bed. He stared at the wall. What now? The question hung in the air, unanswered, maybe unanswerable. Chen did not know. He lay down and closed his eyes. Sleep came eventually, dreamless, empty, like everything else. Chen stayed in San Francisco for a month. He walked the city, sat in parks, watched people, normal people living normal lives. They seemed strange to him, alien. They worried about trivial things. Jobs, money, relationships. Chen could not relate. His worries were different, darker. Would he ever feel normal? Would the numbness ever fade? Would he ever stop seeing those 10 faces? The 10 he killed. They appeared in his mind constantly, not as accusation, just as presence, as reminder, as weight. Chen carried them. He wondered if they would fade, if time would erase them. He doubted it. Some things were permanent. Some scars never healed. Chen suspected his fell into that category. He would carry this forever. That was his fate, his burden, his penance for survival. Others had died. Chen lived. That imbalance required payment. The weight was the payment. Chen paid it willingly. What choice did he have? He got a job at a factory in March. Assembly line work. Simple, mindless. It filled the days, gave structure. Chen clocked in, worked 8 hours, clocked out, went home, ate, slept, repeated. The routine was comforting. It required nothing from him. No decisions, no responsibility, just presence, just function. Chen could do that. He was good at following orders, at completing tasks, at shutting down emotion. The war had trained him well. Those skills transferred. He was a good worker, reliable, quiet, never complained, never called in sick, just showed up and worked. Management liked him, co-workers ignored him. That was fine. Chen wanted no attention, no connection, just the routine, just the structure. That was enough. It had to be enough. The work was tedious, repetitive, but Chen did not mind. Tedious was safe, predictable. No danger, no death, no difficult decisions, just simple tasks. Complete them and move on. The simplicity was soothing. Chen needed soothing. His mind was chaos. His emotions were void. The work gave him something else, something external, something manageable. He clung to it, desperately. Necessarily, without it he would drift, maybe disappear. The work kept him anchored, kept him functional, kept him alive. That was its value, its purpose. Chen protected it, maintained it, depended on it completely. He met someone at work, a woman named Sarah. She worked on the line next to his. She smiled at him one day. Chen smiled back. Reflexive. Automatic. Sarah took it as encouragement. She started talking to him. Small talk. Weather. Work. Nothing important. Chen responded minimally. Sarah persisted. She was friendly. Open. Warm. Chen found her exhausting. But he did not discourage her. He was lonely, even if he could not admit it. Even if he could not feel it. Somewhere deep down he was lonely. Sarah's attention filled something. Some need Chen did not know he had. They started eating lunch together. Sarah talked. Chen listened. Sarah asked questions. Chen answered, briefly, carefully, never revealing much. Sarah did not seem to mind. She filled the silences, carried the conversations, made it easy. Chen appreciated that. Appreciated her, in his limited way. They started dating after 3 months. Sarah suggested a movie. Chen agreed. They sat in the dark theater and watched the screen. Chen did not follow the plot. His mind wandered to the carrier, to the missions, to the kills. The 10 faces, they never left, never faded, just stayed, constant, permanent. The movie ended. Sarah asked if he liked it. Chen said yes. Another lie. Another performance. Sarah seemed happy. That was enough. Chen walked her home. She invited him in. Chen declined politely. Too soon, too much. Sarah understood, said goodnight. Chen walked back to his hotel, lay in bed, stared at the ceiling, wondered if he could ever be normal, ever connect, ever feel. He doubted it. But maybe Sarah was worth trying. Maybe connection was possible. However limited, however shallow, maybe it was better than nothing. Better than the void. Chen decided to try. Keep seeing Sarah. See what happened. What else was there? Just the emptiness. Just the routine. At least Sarah was something different. Something new. Maybe something better. They dated for 6 months before Chen told her about the war, about the carrier, about the combat, about the 10 kills. Sarah listened without judgment. She asked how he felt. Chen said he did not know. That was true. He did not know how he felt. He felt nothing. Numbness. Emptiness. Void. But he could not say that. Could not articulate it. So he said he did not know. Sarah seemed to understand. She had a brother who served infantry in Europe. He came back different too. Quiet. Withdrawn. He did not talk about it either. Nightmares. Anger. Distance. Sarah recognized the pattern. She did not push. Did not demand. Just accepted. Chen was grateful. Acceptance was rare. Precious. He had found it in Sarah. That was something. Maybe not love. He did not know if he could feel love anymore. But it was something. Companionship. Connection. However limited. However shallow. It mattered. It helped a little. Everything helped a little. Nothing helped enough. They married in a small ceremony a year after they met. Just the 2 of them and a judge. No family. Chen's parents were dead. Sarah's family was distant. Estranged. Neither minded. They did not need fanfare. Did not need celebration. Just legal formality. Just commitment. Chen bought a simple ring. Sarah wore it. They moved into a small apartment. 2 rooms. Kitchen. Bathroom. Enough. They both worked. Both contributed. Built a life together. Simple. Quiet. Functional. Not happy. Chen was not capable of happy. But not miserable either. Just existence. Structured. Predictable. Survivable. Chen could do that. He was good at surviving. The war had taught him. He applied those lessons. Get up. Go to work. Come home. Eat. Sleep. Repeat. The rhythm sustained him. Kept him going. Kept him functional. That was success. That was all he could hope for. Sarah got pregnant in their 2nd year. Chen felt panic initially, then nothing, then acceptance. A child. Responsibility. Purpose. Maybe that would help. Maybe that would fill the void. Maybe that would give him something to feel. The pregnancy progressed normally. Sarah was happy. excited, nervous. Chen tried to mirror those emotions. Failed, just performed, just pretended. Sarah did not seem to notice. Or if she did, she said nothing, just accepted his distance, his emptiness, his broken state. Chen was grateful. He tried to be a good husband, tried to be present, tried to be present, tried to care. The trying was exhausting, but he persisted. What else could he do? Sarah deserved better. Chen knew that, but she had chosen him, married him, stayed with him. He owed her effort, even if the effort produced nothing, even if he remained empty. He would try, always try. That was all he had, all he could give. The baby was born in the spring, a boy. They named him David. Chen held his son for the first time and tried to feel something. Love, joy, pride, anything. Nothing came. Just emptiness, just numbness, just the void. Chen was broken. He knew that now, completely, permanently, irreparably. The war had broken him. Fatherhood could not fix it. Nothing could fix it. Chen accepted that. He would be a good father, provide, protect, be present, but he would never be whole, never be normal, never feel what normal fathers felt. That was his limitation, his flaw, his cross. He bore it. What else could he do? David deserved better. Sarah deserved better. But Chen was all they had, broken, empty, numb, but present, functional, trying. That would have to be enough. Chen would make it enough. He had survived worse. He could survive this. Day by day, year by year, until the end. Whenever that came, however that came, he would survive. That was what he did. That was all he knew. Survive. Always survive. David's early years were difficult. Crying, sleepless nights, constant demands. Chained functioned, changed diapers, warmed bottles, rocked the crib. Mechanical, automatic, no emotion behind the actions. Just tasks to complete. Sarah did most of the caring. Chen helped when asked. Otherwise he stayed out of the way. Went to work, provided income. That was his contribution. His role. He performed it adequately. Not excellently, but adequately. That was the best he could manage. The best he could hope for. Sarah never complained, never criticized, just accepted. Chen was grateful. Grateful and guilty. Sarah deserved more. David deserved more. But Chen had nothing more to give. He was empty, hollow, broken. This was all he had, all he would ever have. Sarah and David would have to accept that. Chen hoped they could. He needed them to. Without them he had nothing. Just the void, just the 10 faces, just the weight. He needed the routine they provided. The structure, the purpose. However artificial, however empty, it kept him alive, kept him functional. That was everything. David started school. Chen attended parent meetings, nodded, listened, said little. The other parents were normal, happy, engaged. Chen was different, distant, hollow. They noticed, whispered, wondered. Chen did not care. Their opinions meant nothing. Only the routine mattered. Only the structure. Only survival. Chen maintained those things. Everything else was irrelevant. Secondary. Unnecessary. He focused on what mattered. Ignored the rest. That was how he survived. That was how he endured. By limiting. By simplifying. By reducing life to essential components. Work, home, family, routine. Everything else was excess. Burden. Weight. Chen carried enough weight. He needed no more. He eliminated everything non-essential. Lived minimally. Functionally. Barely. But it worked. It sustained him. That was all that mattered. All that counted. All that was possible. The years accumulated slowly. David grew, became a teenager. Sullen. Distant. He rarely talked to Chen. Chen did not blame him. What would they talk about? Chen had nothing to offer. No wisdom, no guidance, no connection, just emptiness, just distance, just the void. David sensed it, stayed away, found connection elsewhere. Friends, teachers, anyone but his father. Chen accepted that. It hurt, in a distant, abstract way, but he accepted it. David was better off. Better to have distance than to experience Chen's brokenness. Better to find connection elsewhere than to seek it from an empty man. Chen told himself that. Believed it, mostly. David would be fine, would grow up functional, would find his own way, without Chen's help, without Chen's guidance. That was better. That was right. That was how it should be. Chen believed that. Had to believe that. The alternative was too painful, too heavy, too much. Chen avoided it, pushed it away, focused on the routine, on the work, on survival. That was all he could handle, all he could manage, all he would ever be able to do. David left for college at 18. Chen helped him pack, drove him to campus, carried boxes to the dorm, said goodbye. David hugged him briefly, awkwardly, then turned away. Chen drove home, sat in the empty house. The nest was empty. David was gone. Chen wondered what came next. What purpose remained? Work and Sarah, that was all. Was that enough? Chen did not know. Time would tell. He would endure, like always, like forever, one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, until the end. Whenever it came, however it came, he would survive. That was certain. That was all. That was everything. Chen sat in the silence, waited for what he did not know. Maybe nothing. Maybe death. Maybe just tomorrow. He sat and waited. That was all he could do. All anyone could do. Wait and endure. Wait and survive. Wait and carry. The 10 faces. The weight. The void. Forever. He worked at the factory for 20 years. Same job. Same line. Same routine. Management offered promotions. Chen declined. He did not want responsibility, did not want to make decisions, just wanted to show up and work. Complete simple tasks. Go home. They let him. Chen was reliable. That counted for something. He never missed a day, never caused problems, just worked, day after day, year after year. The routine was everything. Without it, he would drift, maybe disappear. The routine kept him anchored, kept him functional, kept him alive. That was its purpose, its value. Chen protected it, maintained it, depended on it. Absolutely, completely, forever. Sarah asked him once if he was happy. Chen said he did not know. That was true. He did not know what happy felt like anymore. He remembered it vaguely, from before the war, but the memory was distant, faded, untrustworthy. Maybe he had been happy once. Maybe not. It did not matter. Happy was not an option now. Not for him. Functional was the goal. Survivable was success. That was all he could achieve. All he could hope for. Sarah seemed to understand. She stopped asking. Just accepted, like she accepted everything else. Chen's silence, his distance, his emptiness. She stayed. She persisted. She loved him in spite of everything. Chen was grateful. Gratitude was one of the few emotions he could still access. Faint, muted, but real. He felt it for Sarah, for David, for the life they built, however limited, however empty. It was something, more than many veterans had, more than Chen deserved. He held on to it, protected it, made it enough, because it had to be enough, because there was nothing else. Just this, just them, just survival. That was everything. That was all. That was his life. David asked about the war when he turned 16. Chen told him some. The carrier, the missions, the flying. He did not mention the kills, did not mention the weight. David did not need that burden, did not need that darkness. Chen kept it to himself, like always, like forever. David seemed satisfied, impressed even. My dad was a pilot. A fighter ace. That was cool to a 16-year-old. Chen let him have that. Let him believe his father was a hero, better than the truth, better than the broken empty thing Chen actually was. Heroes were myths, useful myths, but myths nonetheless. Chen was no hero, just a survivor, just a killer, just a man who endured. That was all. That was everything. Chen retired from the factory at 65. Sarah threw a small party. David came with his wife, his kids, Chen's grandchildren, 2 boys. They called him Grandpa. Chen smiled, said the right things. Inside he felt nothing, still numb, still empty. 40 years after the war, still carrying those 10 faces, still broken, still barely functional, but alive, still alive. That was something. That was success. Sarah hugged him, told him she was proud. Chen hugged back. He tried to mean it, tried to feel it. Nothing came. Just the performance. Just the routine. That was all he had left. All he had ever had. Performance and routine. They sustained him. They always had. They always would. Until they did not. Until the end. Whenever that came. Sarah died at 72. Heart attack. Quick. Chen found her in the garden. She looked peaceful. Chen called the ambulance. They came, pronounced her dead, took her away. Chen sat in the empty house, alone. He tried to feel something. Grief, loss, pain. Nothing came. Just emptiness. Just the void. Sarah had been his anchor, his connection to the world. Now she was gone. Chen wondered what would happen next. Would he drift? Would he fade? Would he finally break? He did not know. He sat in the silence and waited for what he did not know. Maybe death, maybe nothing, just waited. David came to the funeral, spoke. Others spoke. Words were said. Chen did not remember them. He stood and nodded and shook hands. Performance. Routine. Automatic. Everyone left. Chen went home, back to the empty house. He looked at Sarah's things, her chair, her books, her garden tools. She was everywhere and nowhere. Gone. Just gone. Chen sat in his chair, the one he had sat in for 40 years. He closed his eyes, waited, for what he still did not know. Maybe the emptiness would finally swallow him. Maybe he would disappear into the void. Maybe that would be relief. He did not know. He just waited. Weeks passed, then months. Chen functioned. Barely. David called, asked if he was okay. Chen said yes. That was a lie, but David accepted it. Chen cooked simple meals, cleaned the house, maintained the routine. Without it he would collapse. Without it he would cease. The routine was everything. All he had, all he was. He protected it. Desperately, grimly, necessarily, because without it there was only the void, only the emptiness, only the 10 faces. Chen could not face them alone. The routine gave him something else, something to focus on, something to do. That was survival. That was all. That was everything. He lived another 5 years. Alone, empty, numb, the same as always. Just more so, more alone, more empty, more numb. David visited once a month, brought the grandkids. They talked about normal things. School, sports, life. Chen participated, said the right things, smiled, performed. They left. Chen sat in silence, waited. The cycle repeated. Month after month, year after year. Chen endured because that was what he did. Endure, survive, persist. The war had taught him. The lesson never ended, just continued, forever, until it did not. Until the end. Finally, mercifully, eventually. Chen died at 77. Quietly, in his sleep. David found him 2 days later, came for his weekly visit. No answer at the door. Used his key. Found his father, cold. Still, gone. David called the authorities. They came, took the body. David arranged the funeral. Small, simple. A few people attended, veterans from Chen's squadron, old men now, frail, fading. They saluted, remembered, then left. David cleared the house, found Chen's medals in a drawer, his logbook, his photographs, evidence of a life, evidence of service. David kept them for his sons, for the family, for history. Chen would have told him not to bother, but Chen was gone, could not object. David kept them, anyway, put them in a box, stored them in his attic. Maybe someday his sons would care, would ask, would want to know, maybe not. Either way, the box was there. The evidence remained, the proof that Chen existed, that Chen served, that Chen survived for 47 years after the war, survived but never recovered, never healed, never became whole, just endured, just existed, just carried, until he could not, until the end, finally, completely, eternally. The weight was lifted, the burden released, the 10 faces faded. Chen could rest, at last, at long last, forever. David went through his father's things slowly, methodically. He found old letters, old photos, evidence of the man his father had been. The pilot, the ace, the killer. David read the service records. 10 confirmed victories, 32 combat missions, Distinguished Flying Cross, Air Medal, the official history, the public story. What David did not find was the private story. The cost, the weight, the emptiness. Chen had kept that hidden, buried, secret, even from his son, maybe especially from his son. Some burdens were not shareable, some darkness was too complete. Chen had carried it alone, died with it, took it to the grave. That was his final act, his final service, protecting his son from the truth, from the real cost of war, from the knowledge that heroes were broken men who endured, who survived, who never healed. David would never know that, would remember his father as a hero, as an ace, as someone to admire. That was Chen's gift, his legacy, the lie that protected, the performance that lasted beyond death. It was enough. It was all. It was everything. The years passed. David aged, told his sons about their grandfather, the fighter pilot, the ace, the hero. The boys were impressed, inspired. They looked at the medals, read the citations, saw the photographs. Young Chen in his flight gear, standing by his fighter, confident, strong, heroic. They did not see the emptiness behind the eyes, the weight behind the smile, the brokenness behind the performance. Only David saw that. Only David suspected, but he said nothing. Let the myth live. Let the hero remain. His father had wanted that, had worked for that, had died protecting that. David would honor it, would maintain it, would pass it on. The official story, the sanitized version, the inspiration without the cost. That was what the world needed, what his sons deserved, what his father had given. The truth stayed buried, with Chen in the grave. Forever. That was appropriate. That was mercy. That was love. David understood that now. Finally, completely. He closed the box, put it back in the attic, let it rest, like his father, like the war, like the memories. Let them all rest, in darkness, in silence, in peace. Finally, internally, necessarily.